dogs get sick, they often bite the hand of those who fed them. Until someone mercifully puts them down.
Hey, Adrien, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really excited to talk to you because I'm a huge fan and I love this movie. I truly love this movie.
Thank you.
I know this movie and this character is special to you because I know your mom, your history. She's an immigrant. I think it's beautiful because I noticed that your accent gets better while the movie advances.
Oh,
And I wonder, how do you work to have a heavy accent first, and then scene after scene getting better while your character get more used to America?
I mean, it's all part of everything has to evolve, and your own dialect, your own vocabulary, your own ease of assimilating. It's you pick things up. It's funny, like it's like someone comes from Puerto Rico to New York and they don't speak English, and then all of a sudden, within the community, there are words that are spoken that are, even when you're speaking Spanish, then you put English words even in a Spanish conversation, and it becomes this shift. It just naturally evolves, and you start using American or English expressions that are feel natural to you. You're not grasping at it. I appreciate you saying that. It is very personal to me. My mother's journey of actually fleeing Hungary during the revolution in 1956 and coming to America and becoming an artist, and how her experiences have shaped her and her work. And that's all very relatable to me, and felt a responsibility to convey truthfully, and very lucky to have a character that I had an understanding of, an intimate connection to those things on a really deep level.
This is the second character after the pianist that you play a Hungarian and also an immigrant. Is there any connection emotional to you from those two characters? That you feel any moment that you connected with something that you already experienced while working with Polanski back then?
Well, that character was actually Polish.
Polish, yes.
Yes,
Sorry.
but still there are parallels, and they're about artistic people who have been oppressed by a time, and by the Nazi Party. And the Brutalist is really about putting behind the past and coming to America, and almost the disconnect between the hopes and dreams of an immigrant and the harsh realities of what that American dream is, and the hardship and the competitiveness, and to work through poverty. And it's something that many people have endured.
Me. That's why I feel related, because
Yeah,
I'm from
and
Dominican
it
Republic.
relates to anybody's ethnicity, and any nation. And unfortunately, there's so many people in this world that have to flee
Mhm.
circumstances that are so painful that you have to leave behind your homes, if you're lucky, and escape. And then you have to start again and rebuild as an outsider, a foreign person, and have to work to find your way. And it's much harder for those individuals to get an opportunity. And I understand it very well, from not only my mother's hardships, but my grandparents, and especially my grandfather, because his accent was very thick, and I based a lot of Laszlo's dialect on my grandfather's accent, and he couldn't really get work well, because his inability to communicate and articulate as well as he would have been in his own native language.
Adrien, congratulations. This is a masterpiece. Your
Oh,
acting
thank
in
you.
some point is perfect. Thank you so much for giving us, the audience, this privilege.
Oh man, thank you very much.
I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I have watched it twice already. I know it's like a half day of my life, but it's been worth it every moment, because your performance is so beautiful. Because how challenging it is for you, because it's also physical, and we see your character after half of the movie, so we need to connect with a new person, even though we hear your voice, narrating the letters, but then physically we have to connect with you. And I feel that the movie changed to like a pursuit of the dreams to a love story.
Yeah, it's very much as though she haunts that first half of the film, and the audience is getting to know her in the way and waiting for her arrival in the same way that Laszlo is waiting. So the stakes are pretty high when she arrives. You know, you don't want to let the audience down when you turn up. Be like, oh well,
Yeah.
she's a bit of a disappointment. So it was very much, I always like it to feel like that person exists outside of the scenes that you see them in, that you feel that they're a real living, breathing person. And yeah, that was a huge challenge really to come in halfway through. And in many ways, the film, as you say, it almost like the pace shifts. It becomes as it should do, you know, in the second half of the film, it becomes a very different animal. But so much of that preparation is done in that first half, in really putting you in the head of Laszlo, so that you're just yearning to meet Erzsébet.
Well, also we see how this character changed from being passionate about his dreams and then being a little greedy. But you are the person who ground him. The character is the person who ground because it probably is the character who knows him the most. I wonder, everything was on the script that you had a conversation with Brady. Okay, you coming after, because usually we don't have movies with interlude anymore, and I think that's smart from him because he introduced a new atmosphere, and you are included in this atmosphere. And how was that conversation with Brady, explaining your character and you jumping right in the middle to probably rescue Laszlo?
Well, I think in many ways they're both very idealistic. Erzsébet and Laszlo, they're both incredibly driven. I think they're both very ambitious. Erzsébet is going to make it work with every bit of ability, and whatever it takes, she wants to make it work in this new country. And she's refusing, you know, in many ways she's suffering from malnutrition. So her body is expressing the past. Her body is expressing everything that has happened to her. But her mind is not going backwards. Her mind is only wanting to go forward and to build a future. And so much of the film, as Adrien mentioned in one of the Q&As that we did, is how do you build a solid foundation like a building in order to have a strong relationship. And what you see is both these people who've been through such immense trauma is how can they lock into each other to create some strength together to start their new life. And you see how complex and difficult that is when two people have been through such horrendous experiences.
My favorite scenes, the more romantic and it probably is dark, it's when he overdoses you. And the way that character react, it's just shown. It's the first time that I see him towards you, showing you love, like truly love. And I know it's kind of dark, but it's a great performance for both of you. And thank you so much for your time, Felicity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are invited to my country anytime, man. Like honestly, we have a festival. We have like 2, 3 festival. We can invite you anytime. So
Thank you,
that's
sir.
an open invitation. Um, I truly enjoy this film. It's like a journey for film lovers like me, and I wonder how was this probably new relationship with power that you probably learned something, or did you learn something about power creating this character?
Well, it's interesting because I think what goes hand in hand with the power that Van Buren has is also a sense of powerlessness. I think on many levels he feels insecure, and he feels there's a drive to keep his head above water, and there's a drive to sort of have some sense of control. And so I feel like building this power for himself is about creating an identity for himself. So it's a very complicated or a complex psychological idea, I suppose, this notion of power for this character. I mean, there are obviously people out there in the world who have a lot of power, and you know, it probably comes to them quite easy. I don't know. But I think for him, it's, you know, I'm sure he's pretty good at it to a degree. But what we wanted to show also was that there was a vulnerable side. There was a side of him that could recognize great artistry and be envious that he doesn't have that himself, and so that's creates a little turmoil. And what does he do with that? He obviously tries to control Laszlo Toth in the movie. So it's a complex idea, the notion of power for him.
But also it's a beautiful relationship because he wanna be creative, and he wanna be creative through Laszlo. And usually we, the audience, and outside movies, we see people in power like at the villains. But this character, it has something like very sensitive that he wanna create things. They wanna create through Laszlo, and I think that's a beautiful relationship that they have.
Yes, and I agree. I think it's a very fine line, though, because I think that, as I say, he recognizes what Laszlo has, the skill that he has, and he knows he doesn't have it himself.
Mhm.
So how forgiving and compassionate is he going to be about that? The idea of recognizing that in Laszlo, but wanting to own it himself in itself is a kind of a dichotomy. The best thing for him to do is go, wow, I love what you do. I'd love you to build this for me in the way that you should build it, and then just leave him alone in the process. But of course, he can't just leave him alone. It's too complicated for that. So yeah, I think, but I do think through the journey, Laszlo helps Van Buren open up a little and be a little more sensitive about himself. But again, that in itself is a kind of confrontation for Van Buren.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much freedom Brady gave you to create this character, and based on a research that you have probably?
Oh no, well, I didn't need to create the character. It was all there in the script. So I didn't need any more freedom. I just wanted to be able to do what I could see on the page, to be honest. It's better for me if I don't have to create a character. It's better if a writer can do that, and then I can see it, like if you read a book and you can see the character in your mind, and then to just know how to play it, how to get inside the character and play it.
Guy, thank you so much for your time, man. Like really, I really enjoyed your career. And just to close, I remember one of my first unheated debates. It was because Memento many years ago, and we all praised about your performance back when I was living in my country. But it was such a beautiful moment because it was one of the first debates that I had about a film, and we loved it. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you, Matt. I appreciate
I
that.
really
That film's
appreciate your
pretty special
career,
to me as
and
well. So
I appreciate your career, and thank you for your talent.